Okay, so Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah woke up today and chose violence. Lots of stuff happening with the Vikings. The big news of the day, expected news. Adam Thielen released. Um, it was reported last week maybe that he wasn't going to take a pay cut, that he wanted a bigger role in the offense. It's like that he wasn't going to get a bigger role. If anything, his role is decreasing, and it decreased this past year. Very expensive player. I believe he had the second highest cap hit on the team behind Kirk. And you could save a good amount of money cutting him. So he is gone. Maybe I'll do the other news and then I'll kind of do the full overview. The surprising news today that came out today was Cameron Dantzler released. I did not expect that one. They're saving a couple million on that. He had kind of an up and down run here for his 3 years. He definitely made some plays. He can play in the league, but I'm surprised they cut him just from the standpoint of their secondary is still thin. But obviously, I would absolutely expect them to be hitting secondary very hard in draft and free agency. But those are the two moves that have actually been made. And I think what Ross Blacklock took a pay cut, so he's gonna stick around. Defensive line rotation guy. But then there's also news that hasn't happened yet, but might. Supposedly Harrison Smith, there's a good chance he might be gone. That again is also surprising because I thought his deal was a little more team friendly, and there was a lot of talk when they hired Flores that they could kind of move Smith back to more of a role like he had with Zimmer, where he was doing a lot of blitzing and doing a lot of other things instead of just playing out in the secondary. Zadarius Smith, also there's been news on him that he wants to be released supposedly. His contract is not very good for him. But he wants, so I guess he wants to be released. But the Vikings don't want to do it. We'll see what happens there. They could trade. I'm kind of surprised, especially with the Dancer one, that they weren't able to trade him. You couldn't get a 7th round pick for a cornerback who's still young with some starting experience. That's surprising. So Zadarius Smith could be gone. Harrison Smith could be gone. There's no news yet on any Dalvin Cook potential trade. Whatever they're going to maybe do with Kirk, that's still yet to be talked about. There's other restructures that have been strongly rumored, but from the way things are going, they're definitely this is the teardown. This not a full roster teardown, but what we're getting now. It looks like it's going to be what a lot of people expected last year. Because I think most people expected the second that Zimmer and Spielman were gone and they brought new guys in, that they were going to just tear down the roster. Well, they didn't do that. They essentially spent a year evaluating the roster, because they brought most of it back. But now, and obviously the financial restraints force their hands on some of these, but I'm sure they would have kept Thielen if he would have accepted a pay cut, but he also wants a bigger role in the offense, and I don't see that happening. I don't see that. I think might be in for a bit of a rude awakening wherever he goes, that he could probably go to a lesser team and be a number 1 receiver, maybe even still, or certainly a number 2. I think he's more likely going to end up taking a deal with a top contending team, and maybe being a 3rd or 4th option. But yeah, this is the teardown, and this isn't over. I thought it was going to be kind of I can't believe this is almost old timers talk now, but when they hired Dennis Green years ago, and that first year he was in here, he was just cutting longtime veterans left and right. It was just they were being shown the door by the truckload. That didn't happen last year, but now it's happening. I mean, Thielen's been here 8 years. Kendricks was here for like 8 years or something. If Harrison Smith goes, he's the longest tenured guy on the team. He's been here since 2012. Obviously, if Cook goes, he's been here since whatever 16 or 17. Like our longest tenured player could be Daniil Hunter real soon, and he hasn't even been here. He's only been here since 2015. So this, I don't know what this means long term. I believe they're still planning to like compete next year. I don't think they're going to be like, we're going to just blow it up and just tank next year. They're not going to tank, but I think they're definitely, more of a look towards the future with this offseason than there was last offseason. But I mean, I think you can compete and win 10 games and win the NFC North next year. And I think they can still do that unless they get rid of Kirk too and get rid of, everybody. But I mean, they have a lot of cap space. I've seen a lot of talk about how they have a lot of cap space, maybe not for coming into this season, but for going into next season, they've got a ton. And there's going to be some extensions, the JJ extension, Hawkinson, Darisaw is going to have to get extended. Any other young guys on the defense that you do like, you're going to be giving them extensions. But, I think this is what a lot of people wanted. And I've also seen a lot of people complaining like, oh, how could they get rid of Thielen? He's such a popular player. How could they get rid of Kendricks? Well, this is kind of what you want. Like if you want the team to go with the youth movement and rebuild and all these things. Well, this is part of the price you pay is you're going to have to say goodbye to some players that you've grown fond of over the years. And there's going to be more to come. I mean, Dancer was a surprise. There's a bunch who won't be a surprise if they go. I don't know on the timing of some of these, if it's like, you're not going to be able to work out a trade certain guys. So you just, you cut them early. I don't think they're doing it just out of the goodness of their heart to be like, hey, you go get a good early start on free agency, which really will kick in this weekend. But I mean, this is the price you pay, and I'm torn myself. Like I'm never of the opinion that you just give up on seasons, and I don't think they're doing that. But you can compete next year, and I think they're planning to compete. But you can do it, like the competitive rebuild, like they said, like when they came in here, competitive rebuild, and I think they can be competitive, and I think they're going to be active in free agency. Just because they're cutting veterans, that doesn't mean they're going to not go out there, over the next couple weeks here and try to add to the team. I don't think this is just like, we're going to get rid of everybody and just fill everything in with, a draft class, because we don't have that many draft picks. We did get a compensatory pick, 6th rounder the other day, so that'll be exciting. That's another reason I thought they were going to maybe, if they were going to be trying to get rid of some of these guys, try to trade them, and maybe they just couldn't get a trade value, worthwhile trade value. I mean, I suppose you could have traded Adam Thielen for like a conditional 7th round pick, but at some point it's like, what's the point of even doing it? And some of the way some of these contracts work, it hurts the cap more if you trade them. There are people who do this for a living. I do not do this for a living. There are people who do this for a living, and they have the spreadsheets of everything that happens with every contract, every breakdown. I don't do that. But it could be, some of these guys that it's worse for the cap to trade them than to just release them. But as for Thielen, like, he had a good run. I'm not sad to see him go. I was more sad with the Kendricks move. I don't know, for whatever reason, I just like Kendricks more than Thielen. Thielen had a hell of a run, undrafted player, local guy. Had a hell of a run. He's probably going to be the Ring of Honor someday. But it was time. Like, you could have made the argument to get rid of him last year, but they kept him. I think they had extended him last year too. But it was a nice Vikings career, but it ends, and they all end eventually. I mean, whoever a person's favorite player is on the team, they're eventually going to be gone. Even Justin Jefferson someday will not be a Viking. It's just it's the way it works. But My only disappointment is maybe hoping that they could trade some of these guys instead of just releasing them. But again, I don't know how that works for the cap. So yeah, Kendrick's gone, Thielen gone, Dantzler gone, Harrison Smith may be gone, Zadarius Smith may be gone. A lot of talk, CJ Ham will probably be cut. Like there's gonna be a lot of turnover. This is gonna be a very different looking roster in about 6 months till the season starts. It's hard to think of a new season when it's still fucking winter, but I don't expect the Vikings to just be like, we're just gutting the roster but not putting anything back in. And I don't think they're going to be like, throwing huge contracts out there. They kind of, and obviously a lot of this was in the Spielman era, but they always seem to go get like one guy in free agency, for kind of a significant contract. I think last year that was Harrison Phillips. So they'll be doing something, and I know they're going to be, they're going to be doing stuff, because you're not going to roll into next year with like 5 rookies or second-year guys in your secondary and nothing else. That's just not going to happen. Patrick Peterson's another one. We don't know what that's going to happen. He's said he wants to be back. I think I would like to see him back, but I think they're letting Flores have a lot of say. I think if Brian Flores came in here and said, "Hey, Cameron Dantzler's a hell of a player. I'd love to have him on the team," I don't think he'd be released. I think I think they're giving him some say in this, because that's a minor savings. I don't think that's do or die. It's a bigger deal with guys like Kendricks and Thielen. But so I'm reaching rambling portions at this point. Hopefully nothing else happened in the time I recorded this video. The news flies fast and furious as we get into this. I saw the Bears traded the number 1 pick just before I started to do this, so that'll be interesting to see. Hopefully the Bears fuck up all their draft picks, because they're gonna have a lot of draft picks. But I think winning 13 games last year, people can fucking say whatever they want about the 13 win season, but that buys you some equity, and I think that's earned this new regime some equity to kind of reshape things more in their way, because it's like, we came in and took an 8-win team for 2 years in a row, I think a badly underachieving team, wins and losses, and we got them to 13 wins. We didn't win in the playoffs, sorry, but 13 wins is not a fluke. Sorry, they were a good team. They made them a good team, and I think they can still be a good team next year. That might change if they do something drastic at the quarterback position. I still don't think that's going to happen, but I do think that some of these moves now could point more to they're going to maybe they are going to let it ride out with Kirk. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad idea. Like, I'm fine doing it. Like, it doesn't mean you have to like then get rid of him. And I don't know what that means as far as the draft, if they are gonna go get a quarterback. I trust KOC. If he sees a guy in this draft class, who he thinks is the guy or can be the guy, and they want to go get him, that's fine. But that's risky. That's risky. That could be, you pick the wrong guy, and that can sink the whole operation. But lots of stuff left to go. It's gonna be an interest. The last off season was not that interesting, because they didn't really get rid of anybody, too significant. I think Anthony Barr was probably the only significant guy who left last year. But yeah, they're gonna be doing a lot of stuff, man. And there could be some curveballs like Dantzler. Like, that was not expected. But I trust this front office. I trust KOC. I trust Flores. Whatever input he has with the defensive personnel. Trust Kwesi. Like, I think these guys are the right guys. And even if they do something that I don't necessarily endorse, we give them the benefit of the doubt, because they haven't fucked up yet. 13 wins in one season. I mean, that's a pretty good start, and I think they can keep this going, and I think they can win the division next year. And again, competitive rebuild. Like, they got mocked for saying it, but it worked once. I don't think they'll win 13 games next year, but I mean, you can win 10 and still win a division or be in the playoffs and kind of keep this thing going. You turn over the roster, and maybe you hit on a rookie quarterback here in the next couple of years, and then you just make a smooth transition. I think that's what everyone would prefer the most, but that's a lot to ask for. But I've reached rambling portions very quickly, and so Thielen, sayonara. We'll see you at the Ring of Honor. Don't sign with Green Bay or New England, or the Saints or the Eagles. Don't sign with any of those shitty teams. And Dantzler, hey, we had a couple fun ones with him too, but that's life as a football fan. They never last for very long in the NFL, so don't get too attached.